a massive fan of celebrity football agents. We've heard from plenty of them down the years, but it's just always something that I think has always sort of annoyed me slightly. I've always thought the football agent should be the bridesmaid and not the bride, if you like. All the attention really should be on the footballer. The agents are said to facilitate a transfer or to facilitate a player signing the contract. You get the idea. The reason I'm talking about this now is because of Mohammed Kudus's agent, whose name is, I think I'm going to slaughter this name now, Jen Mendelesvich, something like that. I'm close. I'm pretty close on the name. She did, well, it wasn't so much an interview, actually. It was more, she was more like on a panel, almost like a sort of talk sport type thing, sat round with round a desk, round a news desk with 3 or 4 other people. And she was very candid with how the Mohammed Kudus transfer, not so much to West Ham, but actually from Ajax, how that came about. She's very, very candid with it. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but I just feel that maybe some of these stories are best left until afterwards. It's like when an ex-manager writes his book, then you hear about what happened in the dressing room, but that's fine, because it was sort of 30 years ago. This is all very current, and it didn't sound particularly good, I have to say. I also felt that she was very free with the information, which I'm about to tell you in a second. I'm sure you already know about it. The information, which there was a headline grabbing, a very big clickbaity title and headlines everywhere, which were Chelsea made a derisory offer for Mohammed Kudus. Whilst that was something that she said, I found the devil was in the detail in this one, because while she was talking about that, it was really the fact that it appeared the player had been pimped around to Chelsea, Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain without Ajax actually being involved. In fact, Kudus had actually spoken with Mauricio Pochettino before, again, any transfer bid had been made. Now, listen, don't get me wrong, I know this might be relatively commonplace, but it is frowned upon. It's sort of thought of as bad football practice. So it was quite odd to hear an agent speaking so candidly and so honestly about something that they probably shouldn't have been doing. And even though everybody does do it, they sort of do it under the radar. And it sort of gave me sort of hints of Marko Arnautovic's brother. Was his name Daniel Arnautovic? Maybe it was. Anyway, do you remember that? Again, we always used to hear a lot from him. We used to hear a lot about him. And I don't want to hear anything, truth be known. And it just worried me a little bit that clearly from the way I interpreted the interview and the way I sort of read the transcript, and I should probably say at this point it wasn't conducted in English, so I'm reading a transcript from it, but enough people have sort of transcribed it, be it from the Evening Standard, the Metro, TalkSport, everyone's done it. And the way I read it was, Mohammed Kudus wanted to leave Ajax, so knowing that he wanted to leave, the agent went and started contacting loads of other clubs. I thought, it's not great. I didn't think it sounded great, I have to say. It sort of worried me a little bit. Well, what happens at the point where they decide that he's no longer, time for being at West Ham? Are they going to do the same thing there? Anyway, I thought it wasn't so much interesting news, but I was a little bit. I was far more worried about that aspect of it than I was of Chelsea making what might have been perceived as a lowball offer to Ajax. I was just a little bit worried that Ajax were the last to know on anything, because it's very, very easy to look at that and actually swap Ajax out. What can happen to Ajax can happen to West Ham. So, I don't think it's going to be the last time we hear from this agent. Let me just put it that way. Some other bits of West Ham news are the club contacts, a high-placed source within the club, contacted Clarence Hughes to say that the rumours of Saudi, it's not so much Saudi interest in Nathan Gerd and Kurt Zouma, were absolute rubbish. I'm sure there are rumours there, but it was very much suggested that Kurt Zouma had been approached and offered the chance to go to Saudi Arabia this summer in the most recent transfer window, and he said no, he didn't want to go. He loves it in London. And you know what? When I heard that, I thought, okay, this is actually right. I remember this before, because the whole reason we got him from Chelsea, and you'll remember this, and if you go back and search, you'll find this to be the case. Kurt Zouma wanted to stay in London. So, why would that have changed? I guess it wouldn't have done. I'd forgotten it, truth be known. I'd forgotten he had this love for London. That's why eventually he came to West Ham. So yeah, I think you could pretty much discount those rumours. I wasn't buying into them anyway because I didn't think he'd pass a medical for anyone, never mind a Saudi Arabian club. So yeah, I didn't believe much in that, but I thought it was quite interesting to hear that as well. The other story that was sort of starting to do the rounds, and it was from Fabrizio Romano. It again didn't particularly relate to West Ham, but it was about Ivan Toney. I guess you could do 6 degrees of separation. I guess it does relate to West Ham in as much as we were offered him by Barry Fry, weren't we, at Peterborough? Some years ago, he was offered to West Ham and we turned out and said no. I wonder if we regret that now. I don't know. I'm not going to make any betting jokes, by the way. But it appears that it's common knowledge, apparently. I didn't know it, but apparently it's common knowledge that he wants out of Brentford. I do wonder why that'd be. I think Brentford's been very good for him. Maybe he feels that they didn't support him or whatever for all this, the betting scandal and whatnot. So anyway, apparently he wants out. And Fabrizio Romano had said it was Arsenal and Chelsea who were interested in him. I think firstly, I found that quite odd. I thought it would be, maybe Tottenham and Chelsea. Anyway, maybe I'm reading it wrong. I haven't read the whole article, but because it makes a little bit more sense, really, given Harry Kane's departure, doesn't it? But I just thought, well, West Ham should be all over this. We really should be. I think unlike a lot of the others, maybe with the exception of Tottenham, we are probably the one club that could say to Ivan Toney, we'll give you first team football. You're a guaranteed starter for us. Whether we will, I don't think we will, but I do think it's probably worth us chancing our arm. I really do. We can offer him European football. Why not? I would suspect, though, we've been offered him once, and David Moyes didn't fancy him then. Maybe he doesn't fancy him again this time. It really is a signing I'd love to see us pursue because, hey, look, he's a cracking player. Just on the last one, last 3 really quick fire things. Ben Johnson was offered another contract apparently, and he turned it down because he thought it was a derisory offer. He thinks he should be earning more. Quite interesting that the club would decide to offer him a contract, having already decided to let him go. Very, very interesting. Now, I think you can read a lot into that, considering what our transfer strategy might be, and particularly in terms of homegrown players and that sort of thing. So I think that's interesting. He said no. Pablo Fornals, highly likely to move to Sevilla at the end of the season. Just may well be that some agreement can be made in January. I'm sure we'll discuss that lots and lots as well. There's one thing that would go against that, and that is the fact that we're going to lose players in January. So maybe Fornals would get some game time when everybody's off at the African Cup of Nations. Just finally, Aaron Cresswell, back to fitness, but apparently still, I don't know whether he's looking to leave or the club are looking to get rid of him in January, but that could be another one. So there you go, just a little transfer news roundup there. I'll be back tomorrow, probably with some more transfer. It's not transfer news, is it? It's gossip. Some players are already in, some players are leaving. In fact, there was almost no news about anybody coming in. It was just Ivan Toney. He's not even rumoured. I'm just saying that I would like him. So I'll be back tomorrow with something else. There's going to be something that crops up. Hey, a day in the life of West Ham. When is there never no drama at West Ham? Never.